Okay, thanks everyone for joining us today. It's a hybrid press conference, this one, as per other ICC conferences. So we do have a few people on Zoom. But we'll go to the floor first. So if you have any questions for Aaron Finch, and then we'll head over to Zoom. Mark.
Jason. Nice blue skies here in Brisbane. I guess the pitch out there was difficult, but how was that transition?
Yeah, very good. I think it's nice to finally get some blue skies and some warm weather. The boys have been freezing over the last couple of days, but it's always great facilities here. I think a little challenge on some wickets that have been up for quite a while is always good fun.
Yeah, it was a bit, isn't it? With the Smithy copper on the glove, and you obviously copped a few earlier.
Yeah, there was just a couple of little cracks down the middle that some balls were taken off, but luckily majority of them kept low rather than went through the top. So, yeah, it was all good.
Is that good preparation? Because when you get out there tomorrow night, obviously the Gabba pitch is probably going to be a bit flat, isn't it? Is that good preparation?
Yeah, it makes you watch the ball pretty hard, and I think you adapt your training depending on the conditions. So then it was just about trying to hit the ball in the middle of the bat and make sure you're getting in good positions and try and take any of the worries about the wicket out of the equation and just really try and focus in 100% and hit the middle of the bat.
When you're playing in a competition where run rate would be important, in a game like tomorrow night, do you think from the outset that you sort of keep things moving along and try and maximise it, or do you just seize the moment if it turns up?
Yeah, I think you have to earn the right to go after a run rate performance. We've seen how damaging Ireland can be if you give them a sniff in a game. So you never go into a game thinking about things like that. I think that will naturally unfold if the opportunity presents. But first and foremost, you have to do the basics well and make sure you get your team into a position that you can, if that presents it, you can push forward. So I think the last thing you want to do is push too hard, leave yourself a lot to do, then you end up in a bit of a stick or twist. But all we've got to do is try and focus on winning 2 games, and hopefully some things fall our way.
When this schedule came out, most people said, "Oh, that's a walk up," but they've shown a bit this World Cup, haven't they?
Yeah, they certainly have. They've got some seriously talented players. They've got a lot of experience, especially at the top of the order as well. So they're never a team that you can take lightly. If the wicket's got anything in it, they've got very good bowlers to maximise that as well. So I think it's, like I said, it's just about making sure that you do the basics really well early on, and then if the game opens up, that will present some opportunities. We've seen the Gabba can be a high-scoring game. We obviously haven't been down there today to see the wicket, but we'll probably get a look at it from the game that starts in half an hour or so.
Aaron, obviously, just the conditions. Do you think the role of the team there is just aiming for a century, the way Virat Kohli played at regardless of how you look, still were there and still straight there on?
Yeah, I think that the wickets probably seemed and swung a little bit more than what we would have expected. So that player becomes a really important one in all sides. I think Milan does it really well for England. We've had trouble getting him out in the past, in this last series in particular that we played. Conway, yeah. So there is definitely a role, and we see, like between myself and Davey, our role is once we get through the power plays that we can go deep into the innings. So it's a little bit probably different to what some other teams, how they structure up. They probably have one in the middle order, whereas ours are probably at the top a little bit more.
And on that note, I mean, you did bat at number 4 in one of those games leading into the World Cup. With Cam Green in this side, is there even a possibility you can open with Cam Green and you come down the order?
Yeah, there's a possibility. And there are things that we talk about every strategy session is we sit down and go through all possible scenarios and how all 15 players in the squad can fit into the side and different combinations we can go with. So, and we'll do that this afternoon as well. We never rule any combination out, regardless of how the team's functioning.
Just on that, I mean, those guys from 4 to 7, they're doing them a disservice a little bit to say that they can't play that role in the Commerce or they take them as.
Oh, absolutely. I think what Stoiner showed in one-day cricket is that he can play long innings. Maxi's done that, although he bats a little bit lower down the innings. He still has the ability to take games really deep. Tim David's got a lot more batsmanship and craft than probably what people give him credit for. I think because he's got such great power that can be a little bit confused that he's just a hitter of the ball rather than a genuine batsman. So he's someone with great skills as well. So he's someone who could potentially go up as well and try and see an innings through. So that's one of those situations where guys probably get forgotten about because their power is so great at times as well.
What about we know you want bowling first? You spoke about that being a good thing in UAE last year. Have you changed your theory on that? Working up teams bowling first, maybe not.
Yeah, a little bit. I think the dew factor in the subcontinent played a huge part in that becoming a really chase bias tournament. There's quite a bit of dew in Perth when we played there, but tends to not be as much. But then you've got the weather factor as well in most games that have been played. Like there's been some around a lot of games, so teams generally prefer to chase. But I'm definitely not against batting first, because I think what we've seen is that teams, if you can put enough pressure on, if you can put a decent enough total and force teams to go hard against a quality bowling attack with a little bit of movement, that's really difficult. So batting second, you tend to back end your innings. Batting first, you can probably be a little bit more freewheeling.
What about in terms of spoke about the network having to go right? I think identifying the attack. Is that easier to do when you chase, when you know what the target is, or do that from
I think you have to be open to doing it both ways, and that's the confidence I've got with our attack that we've got. We've got guys with really good defensive skills as well as attacking options as well. So Mitchell Stark's had a really different role to what he's probably had for the last 10 years. He's bowling almost 3 through the middle phase of the innings, and whereas in the past he was generally 2 up front, 2 at the death exclusively. So he's become a really defensive attacking option, if that makes any sense, because he is a wicket taker by nature. That slows run rate. So you have to be able to adapt your attack and make sure that you're using your defensive skills as an attacking option as well.
So you said you're open to most combinations. Is there any possibility where you think maybe going with 2 spinners?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we talk about that because I love having spin options in the side, and we're lucky that Max is such an experienced T20 bowler as well. So that gives us the option of a second genuine spinner as well. So it's probably harder to fit Ash and Zance both in the same team in Australian conditions because Max is so effective. So that's the only reason. And we view Max's bowling as very, very good, although I didn't bowl him against New Zealand, which everyone keeps reminding me of.
Keeping one eye on the forecast, praying no more interruption.
Yeah, I think reality is that it'll impact the tournament again at some point. So can't control that, unfortunately. If I could, I'd be a rich man.
Is there anything can we have reserve days or shift games around, or anything that can be done, or that's just cricket?
I think there's reserve days for the finals. Is that right? That would make sense. I think with how condensed the schedule is, I think it's really difficult to have reserve days for round games. Saying that, maybe, yeah, it's kind of interesting when you have back-to-back games in the same city. If one's washed out, we saw the other night, then both get washed out. Whereas if they're in different cities, you potentially get one game on. Is that an advantage? Teams, I don't know. All I know is a lot of planning and effort goes in from the ICC to make these tournaments go ahead, and they're extremely difficult to navigate through all the logistics and stuff as one nation, let alone controlling it for, I think there's, 20 teams? 16. 16 teams. So that's an incredibly challenging position to be in.
It's obviously a bit Tom out down in Melbourne, not whether the games could have been shifted to the Marvel Stadium, which had a group play.
Is the wicket in there yet? I'm not sure. It'll be tough to play without a wicket.
Could it have been sort of a backup scenario?
I'm not sure what Marvel Stadium, what events and stuff they've got going on. So it's not just as easy as seeing the forecast and moving a wicket over there. There's a lot more that goes into it than that. And but that has been an absolute belter of a wicket for the last couple of years of Big Bash. So yeah, I'm sure there's reasons behind it all.
All good. Excellent. Thanks, Scott.